Ireland squad for their tour of South Africa, folks, has been named 35 players, 3 uncapped names amongst the mix, a slightly older average age than some of the other squads we've seen thus far. We'll go through the squad, what are the expectations, what are the fixtures, who are the kind of ins and outs, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. The fixtures-wise, 2 games against South Africa, one in Pretoria in just over a week, and then the following match in Durban. So the first one at altitude, the second one at sea level. And I guess the fact that you're going to South Africa means you are kind of obliged to send a full-strength team down because you are the number 2 team in the world, and you're playing the number 1 team in the world, current world champions. You probably want to put your best foot forward. All that being said, the French have been sending less than full strength sides down to here in New Zealand for many years, so just kind of at the coach's discretion, I guess. But Andy Farrell's kept it pretty strong. The most notable omissions in terms of like the injured guys, Jameson Gibson-Park's going to miss out with an injury. That's going to be a fascinating one at 9 because he seems to be such a key cog in that quick recycle ball game that Ireland play. Also, Hugo Keenan has opted to play 7s, and Jack Conan is out with personal reasons, but there are a lot of good loose forwards in Irish rugby, so maybe the kind of least notable. I don't know. He's been the regular bench loose forward for Ireland for quite some time now, hasn't he, old Jack Conan? In terms of the squad that has been named, Herring, Kelleher, and Sheehan are the 3 hookers, with Herring kind of back into the squad after not playing in the Six Nations. Sheehan and Kelleher have been the kind of reliable pair that Coach Andy Farrell relies upon, with whoever else is in the squad kind of being that third guy. Props-wise, Beelan, Furlong, Healy, Jaeger, O'Toole, and Porter. Kind of a little bit surprised not to see Loughman there as kind of another specialist loose head, but that's who he's gone with. And we have seen Finlay Beelan play a very small amount of time at loose head, but there you go. Baird, Byrne, McCarthy, Ryan, and Izuchukwu are the kind of locks, although Baird may be a bit of a loose forward. We'll kind of have to wait and see how he gets deployed. There's no Henderson from memory. He's injured. So a little bit of a change up. McCarthy seems to have really stepped up and potentially kind of secured his starting role with Andy Farrell with that kind of extra bit of mongrel that he brings. You know, really hard-hitting player in the second row. Good guy to have there. Big unit. I mean, if you're displacing James Ryan from the starting 15, you have to be pretty good. And then Tyke Byrne with his ability to break down still seems like also a kind of hard guy to displace, but we will see. And then Izuchukwu is the uncapped guy. Ulster guy, can play a bit of lock, bit of loose forward. So at 24 years old, he's one of the kind of younger guys in the forward pack. Doris, Omani, Timoney, Van der Fleer, and Prendergast are the back rowers. A little bit surprised when I heard Conan wasn't going that the Coombs is not in the mix, just because he's such a good guy to get over the advantage line. Great guy to bring off the bench, although, I mean, I guess in that last game, if you're taking one game as a kind of example, you know, they Munster really, in the URC, Munster really struggled to get forward against Glasgow. But over the course of the season, Coombs has been phenomenal. So, bit of a surprising one for mine, but you certainly got a lot of tackles in the likes of Van der Fleer and Timoney. Amani's captain, so he's going to be there. And Doris, with that leg driver, his at number 8, kind of picks himself. And then Prendergast is the kind of next cab off the rank. I guess he's been capped by Ireland a few times. And also at 24 is one of the younger guys. The average age of the forwards is 28. So like I mentioned, a bit older than most of the other squads we've seen, with the likes of Healy at 36 and Herring at 34. Kind of being some of the more senior guys. Beelan and Furlong are both in their 30s as well. Omani's the captain, he's 34 as well. So Van der Fleer's even 31. So yeah, like a lot of the other squads you're seeing, like only 1 or 2 guys in their 30s for the summer. But as I said, a lot more steady for the Irish. For the backs, Casey, Blade, and Murray are the 3 halfbacks. So Blade kind of gets promoted back into the Irish squad. The fact that he's only got 2 caps seems pretty nuts, but there's a lot of guys. There's been a lot of good halfbacks around Irish rugby who've kind of been, like McGrath's another one. John Cooney's another one, like who've kind of had a little taste, but never really been able to kind of find favour with the coaches who've, you know, it's just one of those things that at a time they all kind of come onto the scene at the same time, whereas if they were, you know, 10 years earlier or 10 years later, they might have had a more clear run at that number 9 jersey. But anyway, Caelan Blade's come in. Really useful guy to have. So hopefully he gets to add to his 2 caps, but it's Murray and Casey who are likely the front runners with the absence of Gibson Park. Prendergast is one of the uncapped guys who comes in to cover 10, alongside Jack Crowley and then utility Kieran Frawley. He's been really good from what we've seen of him in the URC. Is it a bit of a deep end one to chuck him in down in South Africa for his test debut? I mean, maybe, but if you're good enough, you're good enough. So whether he gets selected or whether they kind of go with the utility man Frawley on the bench to cover, probably you'd be leaning towards Frawley with Crowley starting, but you never know with Andy Farrell. And then it'd be good for Prendergast either way to go on a tour and travel with the boys and kind of get into the things. But he's another one of the uncapped guys. Midfielders, Aki, Henshaw, McCloskey, Ringrose, and Jamie Osborne. Jamie Osborne is the third of the kind of uncapped guys. 22 years old, Leinster man. Gets a bit of a reward for a good season. I say good season. Leinster are obviously going to be disappointed they didn't make the final, but you know what I mean. Certainly one of the younger guys. So him and Prendergast are the two youngest guys in the back line, and the fact they're uncapped makes complete sense. Again, another one who maybe with just 2 tests to choose from, maybe ends up just kind of travelling with the squad and getting accustomed to what test rugby build-up is like. And then outside backs, Lama, Lowe, Nash, Stockdale, and O'Brien. So Stockdale, I've seen a few comments about his inclusion rubbing some people up the wrong way. But certainly Calvin Nash proved himself in the Six Nations to be a good player. James Lowe with that boot of his is always going to be, at least for a few more years, you would think, having a lock on that left wing spot. And the right wing one and fullback one's going to be interesting just with the absence of Hugo Keenan and Mac Hansen, who in previous times, with Hansen still being injured and Keenan off with the Sevens, have been pretty much shoo-ins for their positions. Like Andy Farrell's not much of a rotation coach. He's more of a cohesion coach. So some interesting questions to be answered for Ireland, but certainly some good options to have. Interesting to see there's no Burn boys. There's always a Ross or a Harry about somewhere, but I'm personally kind of pleased to see Sam Prendergast get a go, because even if he doesn't play, he just seems like he's got potential. Now, it's kind of easy one to get caught up into the kind of potential, and guys don't always live up to it. I think there was a lot of hype about Harry Byrne a few years ago, which kind of has tapered off a wee bit. But Sam Prendergast does look like he could be a guy going forward who is the business. He'll benefit from the tour either way. As I mentioned, there is emerging Ireland going on 3 games. I think they're going to play a couple of the Curry Cup teams. They're going to play the Western Force. So there's certainly a chance for Andy Farrell to build depth outside of the main squad, because the main squad is very stable compared to other squads we've seen named for the summer. Expectations-wise, I mean, you'd like to win 1. If they got beaten in both games in South Africa, it's certainly not going to be the end of the world to go to the number 1 team in the world away from home and lose them. But you'd like to win 1. I think if it was a split, no one would be kind of shocked. Number 1 and number 2 teams in the world split the series. If South Africa win both, like I said, it wouldn't be the end of the world. If Ireland win both, that would be incredible. That would be a really, really massive achievement. They got a series win down here in New Zealand only a couple of years ago. So, you do need to watch out for these guys. But, we'll kind of have to see how they go. You guys let us know your thoughts on how they might be going to go down in South Africa. What are your expectations for them? Who are you most excited to see getting a crack? Can you see any of the 3 uncapped guys getting a chance against the Springboks? Let us know your thoughts, and talk to you guys again soon. See you later.